Miss, I was just going to present the screen, but yeah, please, if in case there are anything that you want to cover first, we can get started with that, and then we will start with the session.
Kickoff is already done, and thank you so much, both of you, Nandip. Nandip and Smita are global speakers, so introduction is not at all required for them, and they're going to give a session on governing AI agent in the Power Platform. And thanks, Nandip, for accepting the invitation and speaking at GPPB 2026 Data Platform Community. And stage is yours, and please proceed. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to being part of this event. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you Data Platform for hosting this event. So we are into this seventh edition of Global Power Platform Bootcamp, and this year it is not just Global Power Platform Bootcamp, but it is Global Power Platform and Agent Bootcamp 2026. That means we will be talking about agents because agents are part of our life, right? So whichever kind of an application that we are building, we do have agents. If in case you are a developer, obviously you are using GitHub Copilot, which is again an agent. For example, if in case you are using Microsoft 365, even though you are using Power Platform Dynamics 365, we do have agents everywhere. Okay, so that means we do have agents. There are various ways in which you can create agents in Power Platform, in Microsoft 365, other frameworks, SDKs which are available, including Gen AI and all those things. So there are various those things available. But now that there is a bigger question now, when we have a lot many agents, how we can govern them. Is there any place wherein I will be able to see all of the agents which has been published onto my tenant? Who is the owner of those agents? How I can restrict some kind of an policies on that and everything, right? So our session is going to revolve around that, like when you have agents created specifically in Power Platform or maybe anything, maybe Copilot Studio Lite, as well as the Microsoft Foundry, how you are going to see them, how you are going to govern them, and then specifically for the Power Platform, what are the settings available, what are the options available to us by which we'll be able to govern them. All right, so this is kind of an event or this is kind of a session that we are going to talk about. Just quick thing is, again, there is a chance for you to win some swag. So just scan this QR code, and these are kind of an swags which will be given by the global Power Platform community. So again, it is powered by Upzoids. So if in case you stand to be a lucky, you will get chance to win these swags. Okay, so do scan this QR code, or maybe just go to that bit.ly/gpbb survey, fill out the survey by mentioning the organizer of this event, and then you stand a chance to probably get some good goodies. All right, okay. So let us get started. Before we start the session, quick introduction. Myself, Nanddeep Nachan. I'm Microsoft MVP as well as Microsoft Certified Trainer from Pune, India, and then author of these three books, including SharePoint Framework, SharePoint Hybrid, and Viva Connections. And as well as I'm author of the SharePoint Framework course onto the Udemy. And onto the right hand side, here are few of my social media handlers, including LinkedIn, my blogs, YouTube. So if in case you want to have any further discussion, please make a request and have will be happy to have the further discussions. All right. So with me today is Smita.
Hello, all. Good morning. Myself Smita Nachan. I am from Pune, India. I am having total 17 years of experience in Microsoft technology. I am a Microsoft MVP. I am a author of these two books which are published with A-Press, and these are some of my social handlers by which you can get in touch with me.
All right. So let's get started with the agenda. Agenda is pretty much simple. Firstly, we will set the foundation of what is mean by agents. Because we are talking about co-pilots, we are talking about agents, but let us quickly talk about what is mean by agents, what are various ways in which we can create agents, and specifically in Power Platform. Then we will be talking about agent architecture because to create the agent, to govern the agent, it is pretty much important to understand the building blocks of those agents. Okay, so that's the reason we'll be talking about agent architecture. Then we have got something agent 365 because as a human being, I can do certain things into my tenant. For example, I can access data, I can invoke some actions and so on. Like the same way, even agents, they can do all those things on their own autonomously or maybe on behalf of any of the users. So that means even they do have capability to access the data, they do have capability to perform certain actions, then why do not have separate identity for those agents, which will be just like agent working alongside the human. Okay, so that's the reason those two topics, Agent 365 and Microsoft Intra Agent ID, those will be revolving around that. And obviously, since it is a governance kind of a session, we will be talking about environment groups, DLP policies, and so on. But more focus will be on the modern ways in which we can govern all these agents and then make them part of our life. All right, so let us start with our discussion by understanding the agents, okay? Because we have been working with co-pilots, we have been working with agent, but to put in very simple words, co-pilot is something that we started with. Co-pilot is something like you ask the question, you get the answer for that, okay? And uh, mostly beyond that, it will not help you. So that is what is mean by co-pilot. Now, when we have got agents, they are kind of an programs or AI system which can help you to perform the task as well. Okay, so this is kind of an little bit of difference between that we have got with co-pilots and agent. But now let us focus on to the agents, like what those are and how we are using agents and how we have evolved over the time using this agent. So let us understand what are those agents.
So the agents are the AI powered programs designed to automate and carry our business tasks by working alongside people or in some cases acting on their behalf also. So instead of just answering the questions, the agents can take the actions, they can also follow the steps and help to complete the real work for an individual, a team or an entire organization as well. So the agents can vary in complexity based on what you need. So at the simple end, you have a retrieval agents that focus on finding the right information such as the documents, emails or the records. So moving further, the task-based agents can perform the specific actions like creating a tickets, updating a data or triggering a workflows. At the advanced end, autonomous agents can reason, make the decisions, and carry out the multi step processes with minimal human involvement. So, the key idea is that the agents are the flexible. So, you can start the small with the simple information retrieval and gradually evolve towards more advanced autonomous capabilities as your use case and the confidence grow. So now let's talk about the agent architect. What is this exactly? So this diagram shows the high level architecture of an agent and how its core building blocks work together. Let's talk about this one. So at the center is the orchestrator. So this is the brain of the agent. So what it does exactly? It decides what to do with a user request, which tools to call, how to sequence the steps and how to handle the results or the errors. So the agent is grounded by knowledge. So this includes the instructions, rules, and access to data that help the agent understand the context and produce the accurate relevant responses. So tool give the agent the ability to act. So this can be actions, workflows, APIs or the integrations with internal and the external systems. So tools are what turn an agent from something that only responds into something that actually does work. The autonomy defines how independently the agent operates. So, this includes planning the multi step task, handling the exceptions, and responding to triggers or events without constant user input. So, all of this is powered by the foundation models, which provide the reasoning and language understanding capabilities. So, on top, publishing and management handle how the agents are deployed, version, monitor, and govern. So, agents can also connect with other agents, enabling collaboration and more complex scenarios. So, the key takeaway is that an agent is not just a prompt, it's a structured system made of orchestration, knowledge, tools, and models all managed and secured as a complete solution. So now let's see how we can just build this agent for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this explains the different ways you can build agent for Microsoft 365 Copilot based on who you are and how much control you need. Let's talk about this one. So on the left, there is a no code experience for end users. So the Copilot Studio Lite allows the users to create a simple agents or extend a Copilot behavior with minimal setup focusing on the productivity rather than the technical details. So in the middle is a Copilot Studio designed for makers and power users. So this is where you can define the topics, actions, workflows and integrations using a low code tools while still having the flexibility to customize the behavior and connect to the business systems. On the right, it is the Pro Code path for the developers. So the Microsoft 365 Agent Toolkit and the SDK give the full control over the agent design, orchestration, integrations, as well as the logic. So this is ideal for the complex enterprise grade scenarios. So across all three approaches, Azure AI Foundry sits underneath as the AI foundation, providing access to models, orchestration, and the advanced AI capabilities. So the key message is that the Microsoft support a full spectrum from no code to pro code. So anyone can build agents and the team can grow their solutions as needs become the more complex. So the next is the diagram. So this diagram explains the no code architecture behind the Copilot Studio Lite and how responsibilities are split between you and the platform. So let's talk about this one. So at the core is the orchestrator, so which is completely managed by Microsoft. These components understand the user intent, decides how a request should be handled, and coordinates everything between the scenes. So you don't figure or write any orchestration logic, it just works. So below that are the foundation models, again the fully managed by Microsoft. So these are the large language models that power the understanding, reasoning, and the response generation. So as a user, you don't choose the models or tune the parameters. The platform takes care of that. So where do you have a control is mainly in the two areas. One is the knowledge and the second one is the tool. So let's talk about that one. So the first we are going to cover for the knowledge. So the knowledge is where you define the instructions as well as the grounding. So this includes telling the co-pilot how it should behave, what tone to use, and what information sources it should rely on, such as Microsoft 365 content or the selected websites. So this is how you make the agent relevant to your specific scenario. Then when it's come to the tools represents the actions and the simple workflows the agent can perform. In Copilot Studio Lite, these are limited and predefined, but they allow the agent to do more than just the answer the questions, such as triggering the basic capabilities or interacting with connected services. Let's talk about the autonomy. So autonomy things like a planning, triggers, and exception handling is available, but in a controlled way and a simplified way. So you benefit from it, but you don't directly design complex autonomous behavior. So on top, publishing and management are handled automatically. So security, compliance, permissions, and the lifecycle management are built in. So anything you create is enterprise ready by default. So the finally connected agent should show that even in a no code model, Copilot can collaborate with other agents. So, but all the interactions stay within the safe Microsoft managed environments. So, in a summary, Copilot Studio Lite is about speed and simplicity. So, you configure the knowledge and actions, while Microsoft manages the models, orchestration, security, and scale for you.
All right, so with that, let's get into a small demo, like see how we can create those agents using Copilot Studio Lite experience. So to do that, let me just quickly go onto the Copilot Studio Lite. So as soon as you navigate to the home screen of your Microsoft 365 portal, portal.office.com, you will be taken to the m365.cloud.microsoft, which is the new landing page, and this is where we can work with Copilots, we can work with agents. So this is kind of an experience that you will get at the top. You will have two switches, work and web. When you are onto the work tab, all of the information that you want to retrieve will be taken from your organizational information. For example, your files into SharePoint, your conversations onto the Microsoft Teams, as well as your emails into the Outlook. Okay, so all of your questions will be grounded with that information. And obviously, when you switch to web along with that, even the information can be surfaced from the internet facing public website. Now, for example, if you have a close look at it, we do not have much option for the model selection. Just that we have got GPT 5.2, which is the recent model which is available, and then we can use it for deciding the auto generation or maybe quick response or deeper kind of an thinking. And again, one more important thing to note is this green icon at the top right corner, which says that all of this chat has been protected with the enterprise data protection. That means the built-in security governance model of Microsoft 365. All right, so now this is kind of a very much basic wherein you can ask your question and then you are going to get the answers grounded based on maybe work or web tab. Now, when you are using Copilot Studio Lite, how that experience will be. So in that case, what you can do is onto the left hand side here, you can see we do have new agent kind of an option. And this is a place from where you can start building your agents using Copilot Studio Lite. Again, if in case I go back to the architecture, these are the only two blocks where you as a user will have control. First thing, to define the knowledge for your agent, and then secondly, to define the capabilities for your agent. Rest of the other part, the orchestrator, the foundation models, autonomy and publishing and management, it will be handled by Microsoft 365. Okay, so that means it will be using the underlying model which is available, but you will not have any control over choosing your own models. Okay, now as soon as we go for new option, this is how we can see. This is the Copilot Studio Lite experience. There are certain templates available that you can use to directly start creating your agent. Or secondly, what you can do is you can just start creating your own agent by defining your own instructions, defining the knowledge, and so on. So basically, we are not going to create this agent right now because we will be thinking about the governance aspect of it. But you can give it a name, give it a good, meaningful description, give good description because sorry instruction because it will define the behavior for your agent, what it should do, what it should not do, what are the rules that it should follow, and so on. More importantly, the thing that you have got control here is this knowledge and some kind of an capabilities. Okay, so these are your knowledge and tools where you have got access. You can go for SharePoint, and then from there you can probably look into any of the SharePoint site from where you want to get the information from. So let's say, for example, I just select Copilot demo site, which is one of the site available here. Uh, I will be connected to that site, and all of my agent will be responding based on that. Now, one thing that you can see here is we do not have much governance options on this particular area, which is Copilot Studio Lite. Simply what we can see is when this kind of an agents they are published, we will be able to monitor them from this window. But one more thing is like even we cannot publish them beyond Microsoft 365. Okay, so that means this kind of an agents they will not be taken to Microsoft Teams or SharePoint. They will just stay onto your home screen of Microsoft 365 chat API or Microsoft 365 chat. Okay, it will not go beyond that. So because of that reason, there are not much governance options available here. But definitely when you want to do it, we do have the low code kind of an option wherein we do have more control, and then from there we'll be able to govern few more things. Now let us look at the architecture of this low code agents which can be built using Copilot Studio.
So this diagram explains the low-code Copilot Studio model and how it gives you the more control compared to the Copilot Studio Lite. So while still keeping the things managed and enterprise ready. So at the center, it is the orchestrator, unlike the no-code experience. So here you can influence how the conversations flow, how tools are involved, and how decisions are made without writing the full application code. The orchestrator still runs on the Microsoft platform, but you can shape its behavior using the visual and configuration based tools. So the foundation models are provided and managed by Microsoft, so you don't worry about hosting or scaling the large language model. You focus on the configuration, not the infrastructure. So you get richer control over the three key areas. So first one is the knowledge, then the tools and the autonomy. So when it's come to the knowledge, you can define the detailed instructions and the grounding. So this includes choosing the multiple data sources, refining how content is used, and shaping the agent's behavior for the specific business scenario. So when it's come to the tools, this is where the low code really shines. So you can add the actions, workflows, Power Automate flows, API plugins, and the integrations with the other system. So these tools allow the agent to take the real actions, not just answer the questions. When it's come to the autonomy, you can configure planning, triggers, and exception handlings. So the agents can proactively act, follow the multiple solve the multi-steps workflows and handle the more complex scenarios compared to the no code model. So for the publishing and the management remain the built-in. So security, governance, versioning and the lifecycle management are handled by the platform, ensuring the enterprise compliance. So the finally connected agents allow your agent to collaborate with or delegated tasks to other agents, enabling more advanced and modular solutions as well. So, in a summary, Copilot Studio is ideal when you want more power and flexibility than no code, but still want to manage low code experience that avoids the complexity of the full custom development. So, this is how we can just see about the little bit of Copilot Studio.
All right, so with that, let us get into the demo and see how we can build those agents, but more importantly, how we'll be able to govern these kind of an agents. So to do that, I will go into the copilotstudio.microsoft.com, and this is the place from where you can start building your agents. So one thing is definitely you can go into this agent window, type the prompt that you want, and then it can help you build your agent with the AI functionality. All of the agents that you create, you should be able to see them under this agents tab. So the agents, as well as even you can create the agent from here. So all of the agents that you have created under this particular environment, you should be able to see them here. There are certain templates available. For example, if in case you want to start building your agents with those templates, for example, IT, help desk, weather, safe travels, Q&A, benefits, so on. So there are templates available. Now let us see when we create this kind of an agents, how we'll be able to govern those kind of an agents. Okay, so let's say for example, in Power Platform, we do have various environments. Okay, and then again, each of the environment has got the agents, flows and apps that we can build there. Okay, so that means we are looking to the agents or capabilities by which we'll be able to create these agents into multiple environments. So again, let's say you want to have a governance or something like when your developers they start working, they should not be able to directly go into the default environment and start creating their agents. So for example, it could be flows, it could be apps, or even those could be agents. So let me just take that scenario. So right now, let's say for example, I'm logged in as one of the user called as Debra. Now, here is one kind of an user. So this Zebra is the user who is the app maker in my case. So whenever this particular user goes to Power Automate or Power Apps or maybe Copilot Studio, what happens by default is this user gets landed into the default environment. And Default environment is actually one of the environment wherein we cannot have the control, or like miss everyone by default will have the app maker kind of an rule, okay, which we cannot take away. So because of that, the issue that gets that gets observed here is like everyone they start building their agents into the default environment. But what we want is like whenever any of the user who log into the Power Apps or Power Automate or Copilot Studio, we want them to go to their development environment first, start developing their agents there, and then only they will be able to publish those agents to the next environment. Okay, so how this can be done? Let us see. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Power Platform, and from here I can just click settings, and then I can go into the Power Platform Admin Center. Okay, so once I'm into the admin center, this is how the admin center will look like. Even we do have certain Copilot functionalities here, which we will see a bit later. From the manage section, this is the place from where we'll be able to see all of the environments. Okay, so I should have deleted this. So just give me one moment. Probably I will delete this first so that we'll be able to see like how the development environment is getting created for an individual user, and then how that user gets into that environment. Or maybe for a time being, or let me just do it, or maybe for a time being, you can just trust me that whatever I'm saying is true, and then we will not probably delete this environment, because again deleting the environment might take 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so what we are going to do is that we are going to start with something called as an environment group. Okay, so with this environment group, we can have the easier management of all of the rules that we can set onto those environments which are falling under this environment group. And one of the important thing is we can do the environment routing from here. Okay, so this is the one of the good thing that we can do is we can do this environment routing. So what is mean by environment routing is, again, it is one of the classic feature that we have it with Power Platform, by which we can decide when the users want to go into any of the environment, how they will be redirected there. So again, just to reiterate, our scenario is like since by default every user, when they try creating the app or flow or Copilot Studio based agent, they land into the default environment, and we want to restrict that so that they should not go into the default environment, but at least they will be able to go into the respective development environment and start developing from there. Okay, so for that we have got something called as environment routing. So we'll start with that environment routing. Right now here you can see I just have one test route rule, but again we are this rule does nothing. So this rule does nothing. But what we are going to do is that I'm going to create a new rule. So I will just call this as a developer environment. That's it. And then probably, oh, I will have to select everything or which I will have to apply this rule. So I will select everything, including Power Apps, Copilot Studio, Power Automate, including Cloud Flows and everything. Okay, so now I'm going to call it as a developer environment rule. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply this rule to everyone. Again, if in case you have got your security groups created, you can select up to 5 security groups from here. But for now, I'm going to apply this rule to everyone so that every app maker in my environment will not land by default into the default environment, but they will be able to land into their own development environment. Okay, so now that this is kind of an environment group that I want them to land in. So I will be selecting that environment group called as developer group. Okay, and in that developer group, I'm going to have all of the environments done. I'm going to promote this particular rule as the first one, and then probably I can get rid of this test rule which was created. So now that we have just got one rule, which is kind of an environment routing rule for us, which will help land every developer into their own environment. So that way, at least everyone will have their own environment to work with, do the experimentation, and then probably they will not start playing directly onto the default environment. All right, so with that setting, let me again go back, and then let me again hit this make.powerautomate.com, or even we can go for copilotstudio.microsoft.com. So right now what should happen is right now we are still logged in with the user called as Debra. So it will take some time, but again some time for this rule to get applied. But once this rule has been applied, what should happen is like instead of this particular user getting into this default environment, now at least here you can see that it has started going into the developer environment. Okay, so that means it is not the environment, the default environment that they will be using, but they will be using the environment which is given to them, which is the developer kind of an environment. Okay, so right now from this place at least you can see this is they are getting navigated into their default environment or their personal development kind of an environment. Let me just quickly do it for here as well. But okay, it is taking some time here, but at least from here you can see like this particular agent will be now created into the environment, which is not the default environment. Probably from this GUID, you can make it out that this is not the default environment. The default environment is something like this, but this is the environment of the user. Okay, so this is at least one of the way. Let me just again try to do it with Power Automate one more time, or even you can go for make.powerapps.com, and then that is one of the way by which you can govern your apps, govern your flows, so that all of the users who are kind of just app makers inside of your organization, they will not directly land into the default environment, but now you can see that it is waiting for you to get redirected to your developer environment. Okay, so right now you can see, even though it started with the default environment, it took my user into the default environment. Okay, so, or into their um, developer environment. So with that, what will happen is like we will have a more governance, so that the users will not be able to create their applications directly into the production or the default kind of an environments, but they will have their own environment to work with, and then they will be able to use that. For some reason, at least in Power Automate, I'm facing some issue, but at least you have seen like in the Copilot Studio, it went to their personal developer environment. Okay, so this is one of the thing that you can do there. Now, let's say, for example, when we are creating those kind of an groups, what are the options which are available to us? Because one of the things that we can do here is obviously environment routing, with which we can have a cleaner environment so that no one will be able to directly create the agents, apps, or flows in the default or production environment. Right now, you can see since I have got two active users into my environment, for each of those user, the environment, the developer type of environment has got created, and then every individual user can start experimenting with their app flow and agent creation into this environment. Now, there are certain rules that we can impose onto those environments as well. So these are kind of the rules that we have got. Right now, we have got 30 rules. When we started with the environment groups, I do remember maybe a couple of years back, we just had 6 to 7 rules which were available. But now with the introduction of AI and everything, we have got more and more rules which are getting added here. One of the important rules from the Copilot perspective is even from here, you can just search for Copilot and then just focus onto the rules which are specific to the Copilot. So right now, this is one of the major rule, like accessing the transcript. So let's say, for example, if in case you are working into regulatory kind of an industries, for example, healthcare or maybe finance, in that case, obviously, you do not want your agent owners or editors to see the transcript from the conversation. So what is meant by that transcript is like when you have your agent, this is kind of an agent that you have got, and then there will be multiple users who will be interacting with this agent. Okay, and then for each of these agent interaction, there is a conversation history that will be created. So that means this particular user, what kind of a conversation that he had with the agent. So all those transcript will be made available if in case you take this option. And in the regulated industries, probably this could be an issue because the PII might be get exposed to the internal users, but at least it will get exposed. Or if in case there is any conversation which is happening that should not get exposed, there are chances that um, it will be accessible to those agent owners. Okay, so that's the reason based on your industry, if in case you are into the regulatory industries, maybe consider turning this off. Okay, so that you will not fall into those issues of data overexposure or maybe any kind of a data PII data being leaked through any kind of a transcript. Because when user will interact with the agent, obviously they will expose their PII, for example, the name of the user, as well as maybe certain kind of an IDs, or certain kind of an um, operations that they want to perform. So they will expose those things. So just be cautious of what kind of a setting that you want to have it here. Another thing is the channels, the agent access channels, which is right now into the preview. But again, this is another thing that you should be looking into. So for example, when you have your agents created inside of this environment group, which are falling for those environments, what kind of a channels your agent should be published to? By default, Teams, as well as SharePoint, or maybe at some cases Dynamics 365 for customer service, they are bit okay because they are falling under the security and governance compliance boundary of Microsoft 365. But when you go for the channels like direct line channels, Facebook, or WhatsApp, there are chances that your data will be exposed onto those channels, and it might be used in some other shapes. Okay, so that's the reason whenever you are exposing your agents, you're creating the channels for your agent, make sure you are only exposing to the right channels and not to everyone. Okay, so again, you are into the regulatory industries, probably Teams, Dynamics 365, SharePoint, they are okay because they are falling under the umbrella of security and compliance of Microsoft 365. But for the direct channels, Facebook and WhatsApp, it is your decision. Another thing, we do have AI prompts as well. For example, if in case you want to use the AI prompt feature into the Power Platform and Copilot Studio, you can turn this on. But again, what happens with this AI prompts is like even you will be able to integrate the models which are available from Microsoft Foundry into this. Okay, so that's another reason to think for you if in case you want to use this feature for the security and compliance point of view. Other thing which is still in preview, but it is the AI powered Copilot features, which is into the preview. But again, good thumb rule is like probably do not use this kind of a feature into the production environment. Maybe have them turn on into the development environment, but since they are subject to change, probably do not use them into the production environment. This is again another thing, how you want the authentication to happen for your agents. And obviously, when again you are into the regulatory industries, this is the recommended option that you should go with. If in case you want to expose your agents onto the external facing websites, then you can go for no authentication. But majorly in most of the cases, authentication with Microsoft or manually is recommended. CUA or computer use agent is again one of the new feature which is getting rolled out into the Copilot Studio as well. So in the Copilot Studio based agent, when you go for creation of your agent, under the actions you must be seeing CUA kind of a feature. So CUA is again one of the advanced feature that we do have, which is rolling out right now. So in the past, what we used to have is we used to have something called as RPA. Okay, so robotic process automation. So what used to happen is let's say for example we have a document. So we have this kind of a document at the top. Probably we have the customer information. Then let's say for example we have certain tables which contains some invoices, and maybe at the end of this table we do have the total. Okay, so these are the things, let's say for example we have as a receipt or maybe as a transcript, and we want to extract the information from here. So what we used to do is we used to go coordinates by coordinates. We used to give them to the RPA system to say like, okay, this is the place from where you'll be able to get the customer information. This is the place from where you can get the invoice detail and invoice total amount from this place. This was entirely driven by robotic process automation. But now that we are going towards this new CUA based kind of a feature, wherein I can just ask like, okay, from this particular receipt, I want to get the customer name. I want to get the total invoice number, total invoice name, amount, or maybe invoice number and so on. I will not specifically train my model to go into those specific things of this is the coordinate where you will be able to see the name of the customer. This is the coordinate where you will see the amount and so on. Because again, that um, format may vary in the future. So because of that, the limitation that we had got onto that approach, we are now moving towards CUA, computer use agent, wherein we'll be able to entirely automate all those interactions uh, for the devices and so on. Okay, so this is again another feature that if in case you want to use or do not use. Again, there are various features or other rules. For example, we do have control maker credential option, wherein every end user's own credentials are used to sign into the agent process, like contractors or action. So again, make sure that this is there. Otherwise, probably it will be using some kind of a generic credential or the maker provided credentials. Okay, so just think of which kind of a credential that you want to expose there. Another important thing is that we do have global secure access for agents as well. So again, good that you should enable that so that you can protect the traffic of the Copilot Studio agents by forwarding it to the global secure access. Okay, so again, for this secure communication, so that your communication will not be tampered. Again, we do have other things if in case you want to also use the external models for your agents, prompts, apps, and flows into the Copilot Studio. We can make them enable from here. This is another governance option that we have got available. Even we do have option here for setting up the preview and experimental AI models available. Again, not recommended into the production environment. Now, these are the two major things when you are creating your agents into into your development environment. Okay, so what is the story that we started with is every user will have their dedicated developer environment, and then from there they will start creating their apps or agents or flows, and then from there they will move on. So now we want that these particular users they should not be able to grant the editor permissions when their agents are shared, so that they are still using their environment as the development environment. We can think of configuring this option. So by default, it will let people grant the editor permissions when the agents are shared. If in case you do not want to do that, you can take this off. Another thing is this particular thing, which is very important for the developer environment. So right now we are saying this as a developer environment, but again from the developer environment, if in case you do not control this setting, that developer environment can be used as a production environment, because from there you can grant the viewer kind of an permissions to everyone. So that means I can still share the app, the flow or agent that I have created here to everyone. So in that case, what we should do is we should limit the number of viewers, so that the number of users who will be accessing this agent will be limited. So maybe I can just set it to 3 or 5. Why? Because in that case, the developer himself, any of the co-author or co-developers, or maybe 2 or 3 testers. So these are the only 5 people at the max. They will be able to view this kind of an agent. They will be able to test it out, and then from there they can move on. If in case you have got larger team, maybe 50, maybe consider doing that, but don't let this option open. Otherwise the agent will be used by everyone. Another important thing here is sharing your Copilot Studio data with the Viva Insights. So that means if in case you are interested for the personal insights for the usage of your agents, in that case you can turn this on. And then lastly, we have got this showing the images and URL. So basically it is fine that you can allow the images and URLs that can be displayed onto your conversation with the agents. But again, they you can read it out here, like showing images and links can be security risk because attackers can use them as a prompt injection. Okay, so again, this is one of the things that you should worried about or that you should be thinking about. So again, there is no thumb rule for setting this value against the other value, but based on the industry that you are working on, have the strict kind of an governance here. Now let us go on to the other part. So let's say, for example, we have created that environment, we have set up all of the rules so that no one will be able to directly expose or directly create their apps or agents into the into the production environment or maybe into the default environment. But let's say, for example, they just start by creating the agent into their personal environment. Okay, now personal development environment. Now from here, how to move forward? Okay, so in this case, we do have something called as solutions. So this is the place from where we can start. In a solution, we can have one or more of agents um, added together, and then from there we can start moving those agents from one environment to the next environment. Again, there are two ways to do it. The classic way is like we can use the solution. So this is the solution that gets created, and then you can manually download this solution, add it to the next environment, import that to the next environment, and that's it. It is done. But let's say, for example, again over there you want to have some more governance. Let me just go to the environment that I had created. So this is my personal development environment. So in that case, what you can do is you can create a solution for that, and then you can create the pipelines. Okay, so that no one will be directly able to add the solution to that environment directly. Again, if in case in very restrictive environment, you can create a custom role for that, so that also no one will be able to import their solutions directly here. So what you can see here, I have created one solution here called as agent solution. And with this agent solution, within this agent solution, I can add all of my agents. Okay, so here, once it loads, you can see that I have one agent added here. And on this particular agent, this is connecting to SharePoint site and getting the information. Again, to make sure that this knowledge source is getting added, just click onto the publish all customization so that even the knowledge will be added here. Now, this is the place from where the story starts. Like if in case you just want to export this solution, get it imported, or you want to have pipeline done. Again, in the pipeline, you do have two options. Either you can use the Copilot Studio based pipeline and then move forward with that, which is a very simplistic kind of an pipeline. You do not have much control, but it will just help you to move your solution from one environment to the other environment. So let's say, for example, I do have this development environment, and from here I want to get it pushed to the next environment. So let's say, for example, Debra, who is the user here, I can just create the pipeline. Okay, so I can just click on create a pipeline. I can name that pipeline. Let's say, for example, we call it as a production, and we just simply need to select the environment, click save, and then that pipeline will be added. And this particular solution, I will be able to move from this environment to the next environment. So I can keep adding those kind of an stages, and then I will be able to move those deployment here. Okay, I can just click on deploy here, and then this solution will be deployed into the Debra's environment. And from here again, you can see that this was probably one of my test kind of an environment. So I was able to make that deployment. Now, other thing, if in case you want to have more control, like the permissions or maybe as well as approvals and so on, what you should be doing is you should be looking for the option of DevOps based pipeline. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to the source control. From here, I can make a Git connection, and then I can connect to that. Since I'm already connected, I'm able to see this. Once you get connected, this is the Azure DevOps that you should see, and all of your code, all of your agent solution that you have created, you should be able to see that into that DevOps pipeline. Okay, so just to repeat, we do have two options. The one here, which is pipelines, is the out of the box Copilot Studio based pipeline, which are very much easy to use, but you will not get more control over that. If in case you are looking out for certain approvals or maybe connection with the other external systems as well, you will have to use this DevOps based pipeline. Okay, so once it loads, it is kind of a regular pipeline that we had been using so far for moving all of our solutions, not just related to Copilot Studio, but maybe our .NET applications, Java applications, and so on. So right now, with this pipeline, you can see I was able to get my code into this pipeline. So this is the entire code which is running behind the agent. I can go onto the pipeline, and then I can create a pipeline for that. So at this moment, I do not have any pipeline, but this is the place from where you can get started. You can create multiple environments. You can create a pipeline. And again, that pipeline will be kind of an YAML based pipeline, or if in case you want to go with the old style pipeline, even you can do that. So this one will be mostly a YAML based pipeline. If in case your code is in GitHub or Azure repositories. Right now the code is in Azure repositories, so I will go for the Azure repo. I will select on this. Probably if in case I want to use any of the existing pipeline, if in case I have that into my branch repository. Right now I do not have, so I will go on starter pipeline so that it will just create a basic starter kind of a pipeline. But I can configure this pipeline further. Even I can add approvals and everything so that when I want to move my solution from one environment to the next environment, obviously there will be approvals. And again, those approvals are not just limited within Microsoft 365, but again, if in case you want to maybe create a ServiceNow ticket in the ServiceNow platform, get the approval from there, and then you need to move your pipelines based on that, you can do that as well. Now, another thing I just want to highlight before we move further, we do have Power Apps. Okay, so that means there is another way which just has been launched, by which you will be able to create your agents from your Power Apps app that you have created so far. So that means, let's say in the past, you must have created some kind of an Power Apps which must be having some connection to SharePoint or any of the other external sources and so on. So let's say now from those Power Apps, you want to create the agents. You can still create that. So let's say, for example, this is kind of an app that I have got. What I can do simply is I can just click on to these three dots which are available here. And then here is the option create agent from this app. Okay, so what it will do is it will create an agent for this app as well. And again, that is one of the newest way by which you will be able to create the agent. But again, you will have to govern this agent as well. So what will happen in this case is, let's say for example, I have my app. Let's say for example, in this particular app, probably I just have few of the information that I'm getting from the user. Let's say for example, his first name, last name, and country, um, and then simply there will be a button, and by which I add this employee data into one of the information sources. It could be database, it could be SharePoint, or something else. And then probably I have another screen where I'm showing all of the employees. Okay, so probably a screen wherein I'm showing all of the employees. So in this case, this is kind of an agent with which I can directly interact with. And then when this agent will be created, I can simply ask like, give me a list of all employees. And then the same thing, the same view that we are seeing here for the apps, will be able to get all the responses in the agent itself. Even I can say like, add the user with name of ABC, last name of XYZ, to the employee bucket or maybe employee data, and then it can add that information as well. So again, this is one of the way by which you will be able to do it. So just look out for all those options in which you will be able to create those agents. Okay, so this is another option from where you will be able to create the agents. Now, again, moving back to the Power Platform Admin Center. Here we do have Copilot option as well. In this Copilot, we do have separate governance option for Copilot Studio, from where we'll be able to see all of the security, monitoring, settings, and everything. So maybe I will leave it up to you, just considering the time that we have got here. But again, from here you will be able to see all of the things which are affecting your environment, all of the agents for which you need to take the control and so on. So that is one thing that you should be looking into. All right, so let us move further, and then probably we will now talk about Agent 365. Okay, so again, Agent 365 is another way that you can use here to govern your agents.
So when we talk about the Microsoft Agent 365, so we are not just talking about the building the AI bots. We are talking about treating the AI agents like real digital employees inside your organizations. So with the identity, permissions, governance, monitoring, as well as with the life cycle. So now let's break down this into some of the clear format. So agents as first class identities. So traditionally users and application had identities in Microsoft Intra ID, So agents are no longer anonymous script, they become the secure enterprise entity, the centralized governance across all the agents. That means the organization today are building the agents everywhere, the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot agents, custom agents in the Copilot Studio, agents built using the Azure AI and the partner built solutions also. So just like Shadow, IT become a challenge. So the shadow agents can also become a risk. So the Agent 365 gives the visibility and control over them. The seamless integrations with Microsoft 365. So one powerful aspect is integrations. So this makes the adoption safer as well as the faster. Then the unified control panel. So think of Agent 365 as a centralized dashboard for the AI agents, real-time monitoring and threat management. So without monitoring, that becomes risky. Agent 365 ensures the enterprise level safety. So why this matters? So as organizations move from the AI experiments to AI workforce, governance becomes critical. So it shifts the AI from being an isolated tool to being a part of the enterprise identity and the governance fabric.
So now that let us go into another demo and see like from where we'll be able to see all those agents. Okay, so right now I'm back to Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and from here I can click agents, and then this is all agents. So this is our agent 365. So as we said, as like a human being, even agents can talk to the system. They can talk to the data, connect to the data, make the activities. So again, they should be treated as the first class identity as like we users. Okay, so that's the reason we have got this agent 65, from where if in case you are part of Microsoft Frontier program, this is kind of an graphical representation that you will be able to see like how many agents that you have got under each of the bucket of Copal Studio, Agent Toolkit, available from Microsoft as well as from the third party, SharePoint, and so on. And then again, you can go into more depth of that. Let's say, for example, if in case you want to go into this agent, you can click this and then it will take you again back to this registry. So this registry is again registry of all of the agents which are running inside of your Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So whether they are available from any of the publisher like Microsoft, external partners, the one which are created by you, again to which channel they are available on like Teams, Office, and so on, and the platform from there they have been created, for example Copilot Studio, Agent Toolkit, SharePoint, and other. So this is kind of a way by which you will be able to see them. As soon as someone requests access to that agent, all those requests will be here. So you as a Microsoft 365 administrator will be able to see those requests and use them. And the last part here is we do also have the identity for them into the Microsoft Entra IT, because again we are treating agents as the um, first class agents or first class identities into the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Now, as soon as I go to this portal, we are into the intra.microsoft.com. We do have agent ID, which is here. So right now, all of the agents that you have created from Copilot Studio as well as from Microsoft Foundry, you should be able to see them here. Not just see them here, but you will be able to apply some governance on top of that. So let's say, for example, here you see that this is kind of a published agent that I've got created with Microsoft Copilot Studio. So this is kind of a first class identity which is given to this agent. As soon as I click onto this agent, I will be able to see the same kind of an identities. Like this is kind of an identity that we generally give to the users or applications, like the application ID, the object ID, and so on. From here, again for the agent, this is the enterprise application ID that got created. I can assign the owner, I can assign the roles and administrator. For example, we want to apply some certain kind of an conditional access policies on the agent as well. We can do that. Let's say, for example, I can go on to the new policy. I can select like from which network this will be accessible. For example, I just want to grant access to certain users or certain applications to perform with this agent. I can do that. Okay, so that means as like we had been imposing this kind of a conditional access policy onto our users, onto our applications, we can do the same way with our agents as well, because right now we are working alongside the agent. Right now we are working with them, but not sure in the future we as a human might report to the agent as well, right? So that's the reason we do have first class identities for them as well. All right, so I guess with that we are right on time. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you for being patient. And yeah, if in case there are any questions, please feel free to reach out us on LinkedIn or blogs, and we'll be happy to take those questions further. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks Nanddeep and thanks Meta for your valuable insights on the Power Platform agents. So it was a good
Thank you.
session, and we have a next session with again continuing with the agents in the Microsoft Fabric. So it is going to be with the so totally 22 years of experience with the Power Platform and the Power BI related things and data sets. So he is one of the Microsoft MVP and famous YouTuber and Power BI community speaker. So it is going to be the Amit. Welcome you, Amit.
Thanks, Lanka, for welcoming me. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.